Of time around the Lions. What's the sentiment about how far they think they can go?
What you see from that press conference is what everybody sees every single day in that facility. And I think some people look at Dan Campbell when they see a meathead. Believe that at your own peril. What he is jacked Ted Lasso. That's what he is. Every single day with the positivity. Ben Johnson basically loves coming to work there because he knows Dan Campbell believes in him and he believes in Dan Campbell. And I think you see that. And I don't think they're going to be mentally broken after a tough NFC Championship game last year. I think they understand the authenticity of that locker room. They understand keeping their core guys together. I think this team takes a step forward. I think that they are going to be exactly where they were last year and probably one step beyond. I think they're going to be real deal Super Bowl contenders all year.
One of the best.
Okay, but so here's the thing. And you guys all know I'm very high on Detroit. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. But from a coach, you need more than just optimism and pumping people up and all of those things. That is necessary as well, without a doubt. But make no mistake about it, coaches thrive in the details, in the nuances, in the trenches, getting lost in the weeds. Like, all of those things matter, doing all those little things. Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, they did not lead their teams and become the GOATs of coaching because of just pumping people up, by giving these one-liners, by saying, we can do it, let's go. It's by being smarter than every other team out there. It's by doing all of the tiny little things again and again and again and again and again that those other teams don't do. That's the difference. That's why they won and are still winning, right? Obviously, in Andy's case, at such a high rate, and were far superior. No one was out coaching them. So that is the problem with a Dan Campbell. He is great for culture, great for camaraderie. The team is going to love him. They're going to want to do anything he asks of them. All important things. And I'm not ripping on Dan Campbell. I would be happy to have him as my coach. But that is where you do need some of, and it's not to say that Dan Campbell's dumb or that he's a meathead, right? Like, that's not what I'm saying either. But you need the nuance of, say, a Ben Johnson. And so I had said earlier in an earlier clip when I was talking very positively about the Lions and about saying how I think that they can absolutely win a Super Bowl this coming season. And I said that they should really be going all in, whatever that may look like. And because this is going to be their best chance to win a Super Bowl. And again, it's not to say that they don't have another chance if they don't win, because I don't agree with the whole bust. When I say Super Bowl or bust, when I use that phrase or interpret it, I don't think of it means like, okay, well, if they don't win, that means you blow up the team. It just means like, this is it. Like, you're either going to get to the Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl, or you are going to see your season as ultimately a failure. That's the way how I kind of look at it. Not so much that it's like, all right, well, that means we need to just get rid of everyone and start over, rebuild, yada, yada, yada. There seems to be some confusion. And some people seem to use it the way how I say it, and other people seem to use it the other way. But so for the sake of this argument, I'm not saying that you have to like blow up the team. But to me, this season, that's why I was excited when I saw this clip, that this coming season is their best chance to win a Super Bowl. And again, I want to emphasize that it's not to say that they can't win a Super Bowl within the next couple of years, but to me, this is the peak chance. And this is why, for a few reasons. The first and most important reason, which I've been banging on this drum now for months, is how good of an offensive coordinator Ben Johnson is. So wildly important. And that can't be understated. I see such similarities between the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni, and Nick Sirianni and the Eagles. Nick Sirianni isn't lost in the weeds. He's just a less jacked version of Dan Campbell, of this all right, pumping everyone up. The locker room loves him, a player's coach, good at building that culture and all of that, but not so good at a lot of the other things. And Shane Steichen absolutely positively carried that offense. And it wasn't a surprise that the Eagles' best chance at winning a Super Bowl was in 22 when you had the Shane Steichen. And also before you'd have to keep paying all of these players all of this money now. And that's where the Detroit Lions are in right now. And again, it's not to say that the Eagles don't have a chance to win because now they're making other moves, Saquon, but they had to continue to grow. They had to continue to get better. They had to fire their OC and their DC and get a new one. It just gets messier. And now you have other teams that are coming. You have the Detroit Lions that are coming. You have the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers have been there, but Purdy is going to continue to grow. The Rams, if they stay healthy, they're continuing to grow. I'm probably forgetting another team off the top of my head. I can't think of one right now. And that matters. That genuinely matters. And so now with the Detroit Lions, they will most likely be losing Ben Johnson, which it will be devastating. And that's okay. It's okay to admit that. If you're a Lions fan, it's okay to admit that that's going to be a big loss. You be happy that you have such an unbelievably amazing OC that you can say, yeah, when he's gone, it's not going to be great. That just shows you how great you have on your team right now, how great of a coach you have on your team. So you should be proud about that. You should have that with pride. Don't undercut him. Don't say, oh, it'll be fine. We'll just be able to move on from him. Well, then that means that he's not that good of an OC. And that's not accurate. I understand a lot of people are high on some other coaches within that organization. And I'm not saying that it's going to be devastating and that now the offense is just going to, just drown, but it will be a step back. It will be a loss to a degree. It just is. So now you have that. You now are going to have to continue to start to pay your players more, which means it'll be a little bit harder to continue to build that roster, even though the roster is legit right now. But eventually it's going to get harder because other players down the road are going to need to get paid. And it's just like, I'm not a salary cap expert, and I'm sure you aren't either. And so what does that look like? And other teams are getting better now. The Eagles had a down year last season. They might, who knows what they're going to do this season. The Packers and Jordan Love, that team should only be getting better. The Chicago Bears, who knows, this season, the Detroit Lions should be able to beat them. But what about the next season, the season after? If Caleb Williams is not a bust, which a lot of people think he may be, I don't believe that team will get going. And they're going to be a hard out. Minnesota Vikings, Sam Darnold, I don't think he's that much of a scrub. A lot of people think that he's just a complete scrub. I don't think so. And even if he is, I think J.J. McCarthy will have a lot of success with Kevin O'Connell. So again, now that team is coming. So you just have all these other teams now that are going to be more solidified. I think the NFC North is going to be brutal and it's going to be a gauntlet. So things will only get harder. Even if the Detroit Lions still stay extremely competitive and great and elite, the other teams around them are also continuing to get better and grow. So it just makes everything harder. Again, the Eagles in 22, they had a luxury of Brock Purdy being injured. They faced the New York Giants, which the New York Giants weren't really a legitimate playoff, a legitimate threat. Like they weren't. They, a bunch of scrubs. So that was given to them, right? Like that was the best opportunity. And then this season, you had the Packers who stepped up. You had the Rams. You had the Lions. You had the 49ers firing at all cylinders, especially now with Brock Purdy healthy and fully ready to go. All of those things matter. So that's why I just think that this season is without a doubt the season to do it. So if something happens mid-season or something happens where you realize that you have a couple holes that you need to fill, you do it. You go out and make a trade. You go out and get another player. Like whatever you have to do, you do. You think this is the season, let's go. Maybe there's an injury, rather than just being like, oh man, so-and-so is injured. Like you fill that gap. And it's not to say that you mortgage the future. It's not to say that you just say, all right, whatever, we're going all in. Like when I say all in, again, it doesn't mean like you're going to now ruin any chances within the next couple of years, but you have to take that chance. You have to push the chips to the center of the table this season. Do what a lot of teams have done. Do what the Rams did in whatever year it was when they won, when they went out and got Odell Beckham, when they went out and got Von Miller. Like these are moves that they made in the season. They knew that they weren't good enough, that they needed to fortify their team, and it directly led to a Super Bowl win. And other teams have done this over the years. Like it's always a lot of these key acquisitions that they get, and it really, really matters. So that's what I would really love to see the Detroit Lions do, if their season's starting off as anticipated, which I believe it will. I believe that they're going to be highly, highly competitive and an absolute top Super Bowl prospect, Super Bowl potential to win a Super Bowl. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see. But if there's just any roadblocks or any deficits that they're maybe facing, they should absolutely not just be like, this is our team. All right, let's just see what happens come time playoffs. If they have the chance to grow and to bolster their roster, you absolutely positively do it. You just do it. You go into it with this feeling of, this is our year. Because it will only get harder moving forward. Even in the AFC, it's going to get harder because you have a lot of these young quarterbacks and other teams that are going to either get healthier, or they now, like the Chargers and Harbaugh, CJ Stroud, and the Texans should also only improve. The Broncos should only improve. The Chiefs are going nowhere. The Ravens should be improving. Like all these teams around the league are going to continue to improve. So this, to me, is the year that you have the best chance. You're going to have your peak coaching. You're going to have your best roster and the room for even some adjustments that you may need, that you may not be able to have in future seasons. And then there you go. That's the way it goes. So those are just my thoughts, though. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think it's Super Bowl or bust for the Lions? And do you think, if it's not, why do you think that is? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.